Welcome to MCRM Show. On today's episode, we have undefeated mixed martial arts fighter Bryce Mitchell, who's competing on the current season of The Ultimate Fighter. Thanks to Bryce for taking the time, and thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for having me, brother, man. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. So I don't know how much we can get into on the Ultimate Fighter stuff since you're on that like non-disclosure agreement.
Mm-hmm.
But we can gloss around all that so you don't get in trouble with Uncle Dana.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't talk about, exactly what happened in the fight. All I can say is I threw out, some crazy stuff, some ninja moves, and he threw out some ninja moves too. So it was a hell of a fight. That's all I can say, man, is it was you're going to want to watch tomorrow night because they send me the episodes early, so I saw the fight. I saw the episode already. And it was pretty badass, man.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, the first fight, I mean, you were extremely dominant. I know a lot of people were talking about Jay's stand-up ability, but, I mean, you beat him up on the feet and took him to the ground as well and dominated there. Did you expect the stand-up to go as well as it did?
I think he got me with one good right hand. No, I wouldn't. I usually expect going into a fight to take more than one hit.
Yeah.
And he also threw an elbow, but it wasn't from standing. It was when I took him down, he elbowed me from bottom, and he cut my brow open. So that kind of that cut was good. But on the feet, actually trying to knock me out wise, he only hit me with one shot that was potentially could have knocked me out. And, I mean, usually in a fight, hell, you get hit 2 or 3 times, 4 or 5 times just solid, Yeah. And so I was real fortunate and only got hit one time.
That's awesome, man. So I guess going back for people that don't know, you're 9-0 right now?
Yep.
And
9-0.
And on The Ultimate Fighter Undefeated. So what was the full journey to go from amateur all the way to Ultimate Fighter on one of the toughest seasons they've had yet?
I started out as an amateur when I was 17. I've got 14 amateur fights, 9 pro fights, so 23, and then just many fights in the backyard and skate parks and shit like that, So I've got a lot of experience on me, even though I'm young. My career probably won't last till I'm in my 40s just because I've taken so many hits already. But, that's my journey. I started when I was 17, and really before that, but I started legitimately competing when I was 17. And then, and now I'm here. I'm 23 years old. That's 6 years later. And here we are. Really 7 years later because I started training when I was 16. I didn't start fighting until I was 17, but I started training when I was 16.
Dang, that's kind of how like Rory McDonald did it, starting out as a teenager and getting to the UFC real young. That's got to be the perfect guy to look up to.
Yeah, exactly, man. And because I've watched his interviews and I thought the exact same thing you just said. Rory McDonald. That's exactly. I would love my career to go how his did, where he went up to that peak. And I don't care if he's in Bellator or not. He's just as valuable. If not, he's making more money now than he was in UFC. I'm telling you, his career is amazing. I think, is he the Bellator champ?
Yeah, he is. He beat Lima.
Yeah, I can't think of a better example. Somebody started young and Max Holloway. That's another one. But yeah, I would love to start young in the UFC, have a shit show of a career, and And that's the goal, brother, man. That's the goal.
Yeah, for sure. So, what was it like? I'm always curious. Like, what was it like the first official fight you had? I mean, as an amateur, you walk into the cage the first time. I mean, you've been in a lot of street fights, but what's it like? You got friends and family around, probably.
Yeah.
What was that feeling?
It's a lot different because all the attention's on you, and it was like so much. I kind of like blacked out almost. It's happened. There's so much nerves to the whole situation, adrenaline. It's kind of like you're just in a robotic mode, And I remember the first dude that I fought, he was like this dude. I was 17. This guy brought his kids to the fight. He's like some dude, some old ass dude, and he had a blue mohawk. And all this shit. But it ended up getting bloody. The second round, I broke his nose, and they stopped it because of bleeding, because it's just an amateur fight.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, there's blood everywhere. I threw my shoulder out. I threw my shoulder out in the first 10 seconds. It was the craziest shit that ever happened. I threw my shoulder out. I couldn't hardly move my right arm, and it was my first fight, so I'm just fighting to stay alive that first round. Second round, between rounds, my coach says, Bryce, you know, what's wrong with you? I said, my right arm. He said, it popped out. I heard it. It goes pop, pop. You know, I heard it pop out. It was on a lateral drop, like a little wrestling takedown. And I said, oh, it hurts like hell. I can't throw it. And he said, okay, just don't throw it. Just keep doing what you're doing. I still won the round. I just couldn't hardly. I was just wrestling, and I still won the round barely. He said, just don't throw that hand and do exactly what you did. And that dude comes out second round, and he charges me as fast as he can. And I just ducked my head and threw my right hand, and that was the shoulder that was fucked up. And my coach said, don't throw it. I threw it anyways, and it landed square on that dude's nose. Broke his nose, and they stopped the fight because of the blood. But, I mean, he kept going. He would have kept – in a real situation, I would have been still worse off than he was. He had a broke nose, but my shoulder was torn out. So it's like, you know, it still would have been a good fight. But the ref stopped it just because there was so much damn blood. We couldn't even – it was sliding around everywhere.
Oh, wow. So did you start out I mean, you're from Arkansas. Did you start out, are there local shows around there that you were able to fight on? Because I think I saw you fight the first time was in World Series of Fighting. I know it was kind of local, at least you had a lot of people around, but were you fighting, was there an amateur scene growing up?
For sure, man. There's a lot of local shows here in Arkansas. You know, some of them aren't the best, you know, not what you can call state of the art or whatever, you know. Yeah, there's a lot of them, and they're more local shows. You know, I can't think of any big shows that come around here. I would love for something to happen at the Alltel Arena in Little Rock, though, or they call it the Verizon Arena now. But I've been here since it was called the Alltel, so I still call it the Alltel. But hell, I'd love for UFC to put an event in the Alltel Arena right there in the middle of Little Rock.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
It seems like they're going more and more places now. But yeah, for sure, if you could get to that point where you get to be on the main card or headline in front of all your friends and family.
That'd be pretty badass.
Yeah, for sure. So what was it like? I mean, obviously on The Ultimate Fighter, you're basically stuck in a house with a ton of guys. It seemed like, from my point of view, I mean, they edited it all up, so who knows, but it seemed like you guys were getting along better than a lot of fighters got along on other seasons.
Yeah, I got along surprisingly well with everybody, and there was some scuffles and everything, but I wasn't a part of any of them, and I think I was so overwhelmingly nice. Somebody would have just had to go so far out of their way to be a dick to me and start a scene. It would have, and also too, it wouldn't have been no verbal shit either. If somebody would have gotten heated with me and got up in we'd just been throwing down because. Yeah. I mean, I can handle somebody. People were being rude, you know. I'm not even going to say names. I don't want to talk bad about anybody. One dude told me to shut the fuck up. One dude told me to hurry the fuck up. Dudes were telling me this and that. And that's not going to start a fight with me, you know. I'm just going to keep going. So if it gets to the point to where I'm throwing hands with somebody, it's because they just kept on and on and on. And I gave them every chance. And then it had to come to that. But I mean, I was overwhelmingly nice, and when people was rude to shit to me, I just ignored them. I didn't say anything back. Like, when dude told me to shut the fuck up, I just walked away, you know? Now, if he follows me and tells me to shut the fuck up, I'm going to turn around and punch him in the face. Yeah. You know, if he just wants to say something, he can say whatever he wants, you know? It ain't going to hurt my feelings. I just don't want to be stalked, harassed, or, you know what I mean, actually touched, because then it's physical.
Yeah, I guess you got a professional fighter who's going to put his hands on you, you kind of have to let him know what's up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What was it like working with the coaching staff? I mean, you've got so many great fighters around, DC and Kane and Stipe Miocic. I mean,
Hmm.
that's just crazy high level. What was it like meeting them and getting to train under them?
I just super cool, man. I mean, you just be surprised how normal and goofy they all are. Except Kane, he's not really goofy. He's just like real chill and doesn't like DC. He's more of a goofball, like a class clown type of guy. DC is Kane Velasquez. He's really not. He just kind of sits and chills and he talks. He'll carry on a long ass conversation about almost anything cars. He likes cars and shit. DC, he's just goofball. It's like he's just making jokes, talking shit. It's hilarious. You'd be surprised how normal these people are.
Yeah, DC seems like he'd be a fun guy to hang around with as long as it doesn't get competitive, because his
Yeah,
competitive
yeah.
edge is like so crazy. So,
Hmm.
so
Duran.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm losing connection there a little bit.
Okay,
I think I'm freezing up.
I can hear you fine on this end.
Okay, it's just getting patchy. I can hear you.
Okay, sweet. So you were saying, what's the guy's name? The trash talker on there?
Oh, Duran.
Yeah, what was it like being around that guy? It seems like until Tyler Diamond whooped him, that he was just nonstop.
Oh, Delani. I thought you were talking about our coach Duran.
Oh, gotcha.
Because Duran and DC, they talk shit to each other. They're
Oh yeah.
friends. They're really good friends, but they talk shit nonstop. And I mean, just they even get heated in practice. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
But Delani, he ain't so bad in person. Like in person, he wasn't saying any of the shit that he said on interviews. Like he never called me a bum to my face. He never said, "Oh, you're a broke ass bum," or nothing like that to me. But as soon as the interview, as soon as I seen that, I was like, "Really? You're sitting there talking all that shit?" But I mean, in person, he never said any of that stuff to me. I got along with him just fine.
Yeah, I guess
It's crazy.
he's throwing that persona out there. Make sure he gets his TV time.
That's what it was all about. I'm telling you, because the next day, after he got in that little scuffle with Pena and JoJo.
Mm.
Well, the next day, I wasn't even there. I was getting stitches. I was getting my eyebrow stitched up where Jay got me the elbow. But so I was at the doctor. I come home here. They got in that shit show, and then the next day, me and Delani and Richie were playing pool, and Delani's like, "So last night I started this fight just 'cause it was funny as hell." He's like, "They're gonna put me all over TV and all this shit." I mean, that was his plan.
Yeah,
He
just
he planned it.
playing it up. That's funny. So I saw from the interview you did before the Ultimate Fighter that you're into studying economics.
Yes.
Are you considering government? I know you said you're a libertarian. I kind of consider myself at least somewhat libertarian.
Right.
Do you see that as something you get into after fighting?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. I like to study the art of it and the I like to try to seek the truth. That's my goal in economics is to seek the truth. What is truly the best, the most beneficial, the most fair way to govern an economy? And in my opinion, that's as least as possible. The least amount of taxes necessary, the least amount of government, the least amount of intervention. Let the market do its own fucking thing and keep people out of it. Keep the government out of it. When the government gets in the market, it's not for society's interests. It's for a special interest group or their own fucking money. And those are mainly the two causes. If you see the government getting into our health care, it's not because they give a shit about your health. It's because they want their fucking insurance companies making money. They got CEOs they're paying off. They got people on Wall Street that insurance companies, medical wise, that they're going to make laws to pass to help. It's going to raise the cost of the insurance. It's going to raise the cost of medical bill to the consumer. Just the government and anything, in my opinion, fucks it up, and that's just something that I live by, that I believe. I don't think I would do any good in government. I think people would kind of outcast me like they did Ron Paul, and it's just sad to see that our society outcasts these fucking heroes like Ron Paul, these people that are fucking true patriots. That you got all these greedy shitheads, these politicians who are taking payoffs, and you got men like Ron Paul and Gary Johnson who really stand for the truth and for freedom and for individual rights and liberty. And they get outcasted. So I don't think I'd do anything good in politics. I don't know, but if the people vote for me, hell, I'd try to fix some stuff. I'd take some laws away in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first of all be property taxes. I hate taxes. I fucking hate them. But the most absurd tax of all is the property tax. When you tax somebody on their property, that means you've taken away their property rights. They no longer fucking own it. If you have to pay a bill on something, if you have to pay an annual fine on something to own it, you don't fucking own it. You're renting it.
Yeah,
you're renting it. And if you miss that rent payment, they fucking take it. That's not ownership. The government has taken our ownership of property. That's essential to what made this country fucking great. Essential. This country, if it wasn't for fucking property rights, it wouldn't have worked. We wouldn't have been the greatest country in the world for 100+ years, And that's been taken away from us, just here recently. So.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. To have to buy something and then to have to rent it afterwards is insane. And then estate tax, that's another thing that's being pushed that seems just absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. I went to buy a what? Oh, my girlfriend, she went to buy a used phone the other day. A used cell phone. It's like $600 phone. She paid taxes on a used cell phone. Now, how many times do you think that used cell phone's been sold? 4, 5, 6 times, and every goddamn time the government's gonna get a chunk out of it. Same with campers, over $4,000. A camper, a car, they're gonna keep getting taxed, even though it's been sold 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Some cars have 5, 6 owners, and every single one of those owners pays the fucking tax. It's ridiculous. They tax everything, man.
Yeah, I totally agree. I guess you were just mentioning your girlfriend. I saw too that you guys train together at the same gym.
For sure, man. She's got a fight August 18th, I think. It's called Pyramid Fights. It's one of them local shows here in Arkansas. And it's actually it wasn't around when I was doing amateur fighting. Pyramid Fights just popped up, and they run a really good show. It's a former fighter running the show, so he knows actually what he's doing, and he treats the fighters really well. And I'm excited to see that on August 18th.
Well, that's awesome. What's her name so people can check that out?
Her name's Danielle Thomason, and her fight name's the Wife Beater.
Nice. How'd she earn that nickname?
Oh, she's gonna try to beat some wives.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Hell yeah.
So I know you train at a bunch of different gyms, but what's it, Beretta MMA, is that your main camp?
Yeah, Beretta's my main gym, and I also train at Westside. Both of those. Westside probably 2 times a week, 3 times a week, and Beretta probably 4 or 5.
Nice. Do you have any notable people that you train with at this point?
I mean, my head coach is Willie McLaughlin. My coach at Westside's Rolly Delgado. He was on the Noguera and Frank Mir season Ultimate Fighter. Okay. And Matt, and Rolly and Matt, they own a gym. Like I said, Rolly's the former UFC fighter. Matt Hamilton, back when he was fighting, the UFC didn't have his weight class. He's a 135er, but he's real comparable skill-wise to Rolly. They're just 2 old school fighters. They opened a gym, and I get a lot of high-level training down there.
That's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving forward, I see from your last fight you've worked on it seems like from compared to your old fights, a lot of your stand up, you're switching stances a lot. It seems like that's a trend with a lot of young fighters. They're coming in with this diverse skill set. I mean, you've only been training like 7 years. How is it that you pick up so much so fast?
Um, man, I've been boxing since, I mean, since way back, since I was a young kid, just backyard boxing matches. So some bit of fight instinct comes from that. Like I remember even when I was a little kid, before I had any training, I had special moves. Like I would try to, like one of my moves is I'd try to hit you in the back of the head because it was just like in the front yard. I got one of my buddies. It was my neighbor. He threw this big overhand right at me, and I ducked it, and I came up and just punched him straight in the back of the head. And back then, that was like a good move. I was like, hell yeah, I got a clean shot. And but when I started training, I learned actual techniques, and people have different philosophies on the stance switching. Some people say don't ever switch stances, but for me, it seems to confuse my opponents more and make me less predictable. Some people, when they switch stances, it leaves them more open, more vulnerable. And maybe one of these days I'm in the middle of switching my stances and get caught with the hook and get knocked out. That's a possibility. But so far, the stance switching has actually, I think, helped me a lot. And I think people like Jay, that are just primarily strikers that go in to strike with me, and I start switching stances, and sometimes more comfortably than they can even do. And they're thinking, what the shit, it's a little bit harder to hit this guy than I thought. And it could just be just because I switched from left to right to left real quick.
Yeah, I guess that could definitely throw someone off, especially if they look at you and see, I think you have 8 submissions on your record. They think, oh, he's going to just try to take me down. And then you start throwing some fancy
Right.
stuff at him, probably really throws him off.
Yeah. And I just am harder to hit than they figured. Like say you're mid fight and you just think, oh, I'm going to take this Bryce Mitchell dude's head off. But then I start moving and you're missing. Maybe that could get in their head too. But sometimes I take some hard ass hits.
So, when you look at the featherweight division in the UFC, do you see anybody that you kind of like are antsy to get matched up with if you get in there?
I mean, honestly, I'm not wanting to fight anybody, to tell you the truth, man. I fight to better myself, my family, and it's something I just fucking do. I just grind through it. I do because I think it's better for me in the long run. It's not always enjoyable going in there, but I just do it just to do it because I think that it will help me and my family.
Nice. So it's more a mission and a job than getting into the trash talking and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's just a job. I want to retire and have fucking chickens and cows and stuff like that, man. It's a job, and I'm gonna get in and do it as long as I can while I'm young. And make as much money as I can, and then just be done with it one day.
I feel it. Yeah, I see you do a lot of hunting. It's is that a good is that do you use that for your nutrition and all that, getting wild game? Do you think that plays a big part in your success?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps, man. That's the best meat on the planet is the meat that I'm actually, it's a cheat meal tonight, so I'm having some fried fish. I got catfish, bass, crappie, and a tub of ice cream. After I eat that fish, I'm eating some ice cream, dude. I'm about to eat a shit ton of food, and but it's gonna be unhealthy. It's gonna be all fried up and everything, but yeah, the wild game is the healthiest food you can get. It really is. I just happen to be cooking it in an unhealthy way tonight. But usually, I'll grill it or cook it in a healthy way. I like deer meat, squirrel meat, duck meat. I've got goose in the fridge right now. Actually, that's what I'm eating healthy wise. I'm eating on a goose right now. And them things, man, you wouldn't believe how tough. a wild goose is, man. The breast, I've cooked it for like 3, 4, probably about 3.5 hours, and marinated it for over a day. It's tough, man. But the breast of the goose is tough, but the legs, dude, the legs are unbelievably tough. You can barely chew them.
I'll have to try some goose one of these days. I don't think I've ever had it.
And I'll tell you what, they're easy to pluck too, because I've never shot a turkey. I've got a bunch of buddies who shoot turkeys, and they just tell me, man, it's hard to pluck them turkeys. It's hard to pluck them. I shot that goose, dude, and I had it and never cleaned one before. And I actually could have shot two the first time I shot one. There's one right by it, but I figured I want to take my time cleaning this one and find out how to clean them. Dude, it was so easy. 15 minutes, I had all the feathers plucked off. You cut it open, pull the shit out, you got your meat, and that's it. If I'd have known how easy it was to clean the goose, how good the meat was going to be, then I shot them both. You know, it's so good. I love goose at this point.
Nice. I was wondering too, with nutrition and all that, do you have to cut much weight? I mean, you don't look like you probably walk around too heavy, but is weight cutting pretty easy for you?
Yeah, man, it's really, really easy, and I could go to 35 for sure. I could make it. It would affect my training, though. I feel it would affect my training, my mentality. I'd be pissed off and just be living terrible. Right now, I love my life. I love fighting. I love doing what I'm doing. Everything's great. I don't have to worry about my diet. I could literally have 2 or 3 cheat meals. I have problems keeping the weight on because I dig ditches and stuff, and like today I spent all day cutting down a bunch of cedar trees. So I'm always doing something, burning calories. I have problems keeping the weight on, and most people when they're trying to cut down on their calories, I'm trying to make sure I eat enough so I'm not too skinny, and it just helps me feel better the fight week. I've never lost a fight because I was tired, you know what I mean? And there was one fight, if anything, I was the most tired, and it's because I cut the 35. And I lost that fight as an amateur. I was 13-1 as an amateur, and I lost the fight. I went to 35, and part of the reason was because I think I went to 35, and I just didn't feel. I didn't have the same type of energy that I did. You know, I didn't feel as good.
Yeah, it seems like more and more guys are either moving up weight classes or just picking one where they don't have to do that crazy cut, which seems like a good idea. I mean, I've never cut weight, but I can imagine it would be terrible.
Yeah, it is. But like you said, and you could tell just by looking at me, I'm not a big 145. Most people can't tell by looking, but yeah, I really am a small 145er. I walk around about 155. I'd say most, walk around 160, 165. Shit, there's some 170-pound 145ers. Man, they get way big. I'm just a little tiny dude, small fry. I can take a fight on 2 weeks' notice anytime, a week notice. Nope, the weight cut's not a problem. It's not even it's getting done in 1 to 2 days. Easy.
That's awesome, man. I guess you got to get going now.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. This is fun, dude. Good luck in. I guess you already had the fight, but the fight airs
right
Wednesday. Ultimate Fighter Undefeated. Look forward to seeing you in the UFC one day, man. That'll be awesome.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. It was an honor. Much appreciated, man. And rock on, brother.
Thanks, dude. You too. Talk to you later.
All right, peace.
Bye. Thanks to Bryce for having a conversation with me, and thank you for tuning in. If you want to follow us on social media or follow Bryce, we'll have all the links below, and keep an eye out. He might be in the UFC very soon.